Hi, I'm Lainey Williams. I'm an artist, and today I'm just showing you the process of a recent gouache painting of mine. I was inspired both by recent current events, which made me realize that I don't paint enough black subjects, and I definitely also need to learn how to represent black skin better in my paintings, and just dark skin in general. So that was part of the inspiration for this, but I was also thinking about how just in the past 6 months, like in the course of 2020, for whatever reason, I feel like I've seen a lot of reinterpretations of angels, like the biblical angel, but as it was originally described as this really formidable, terrifying being made of all fire and eyes. And I just wanted to show my interpretation of that, which to me was this person with sort of a flaming outfit and surrounded by wings with eyes on them. I mean, to me, that really speaks to the idea that even just watching something, observing it, using your perspective to experience it is an act of power. And, in in some artistic and literary theory, there's this idea of the gaze as something that shapes the way that art is made, the expectation that the audience will be a certain type of person looking for a certain type of media or of image or of story. And so I wanted to emphasize the gaze and the power of the gaze of black people in the world, culturally and just in general, not only culturally or socially, but just in all things. That was my intention anyway. But I also had a lot of fun because I didn't really know where I was going color-wise when I first started this painting. I knew that I wanted the wings to be a really light yellow. I knew that I wanted the background to be sort of a bright blue, but I didn't have a super specific plan for the skin, except that I was using a reference. So I wanted to make sure that I got the lighting right and that I did this personage, this character justice, and made them look not only believable but really beautiful, because that's what the reference was like. And I didn't want to. I know I've seen a lot of discourse about photographers not knowing how to light dark skin, like Annie Leibovitz. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right, but I don't want to be that person. I want to learn to do right by all my subjects, because I think that's every artist's duty, is not only to represent, but to represent fully and respectfully and interestingly, not just painting, being one of those male artists that just paints the same nude woman over and over again and calls it homage to the female body or whatever, even though they all look the exact same and they're all kind of demeaning. Anyway, I got a little off topic, a little bit of a rant there, but that's just my thought, that I think in general it's important for every artist to remember that, like, thoughtfulness is what we bring to the table, not only like a representation that is, how do I put this, self-indulgent. Our art is a way to connect with other people, but it's also a way to connect with whatever you're representing, not only the other people who will see it, but also who exists or what exists in the art. And so I think it's really important to be sensitive with your representations. Anyway, that's what I was thinking about as I was making this, but I was also thinking about, oh my gosh, I hope that I do a good job. I hope that I make this work, because this was my first, this wasn't my first time painting dark skin actually, but it was my first time in a while, and I just, I don't want to get worse, I don't want to stay the same, I want to get better, because that's what I owe to my audience and my subjects. Or not subjects, God, that sounds, it feels so weird to say subjects. It feels kind of like I'm looking down on them, but I'm not. Like the I don't know, the people featured in the art. I don't know of a simpler way to say it. If anyone has an idea for the word that I'm looking for, please let me know. But yeah, as you can see, I'm using my little Aquash pen, mostly because I really like these pens because it means I don't have to change out the water all the time, so I can just sit and paint for hours without moving and getting up, because I'm just the type of person where if I get up and I have to go to the kitchen or something to get some more water or what have you, I will get distracted, and then I'll end up not painting for a while, and then everything just takes way longer, which can be frustrating. So I really like having this pen that I can just squish and have more clean water come through and keep going. But I remember this is sort of the part where it started to come together, because I wanted to have like a cohesive color palette up to this point, but I also wanted the eyes to all have a sort of rainbow effect and be really sort of almost disconcerting in how like vivid they were. So everything else in the painting is sort of supposed to be shaped around that. So I was excited to get to this portion, because then I could build on what colors to use everywhere else from the colors that I ended up including in here. And you can see I tried to add in like sort of a dark mellow purple, but it ended up just kind of looking bluish. Maybe because of the other colors that I have in the painting, but it's okay. I think it still looks kind of neat. I also got to test out some of the colors that I don't normally use, because I have one like large set of Reeves paints and then a small set of Holbein Acryla Gouache paints, and I honestly mostly use the Holbein Acryla Gouache, which I have like 4 or 5 pastel colors, the 3 primary colors, black and white, and then a neon pink that I use sometimes for accents, even though it makes everything really difficult to print, and I should probably stop doing it. I just can't help myself. But yeah, so I got to use some of my Reeves colors to get really specific shades without having to mix forever, which you can see by my crazy overwhelming palette that I do mix a lot of colors all the time. I don't know, it's, to me, I know that it's hard and it's scary to try and get the same color consistently in a painting, especially if you've left it for a long time and then are coming back to it, but to me it's one of the most fun parts, like getting that color just right. And I kind of think that working from a really limited palette, especially primary colors, it helps to create a really cohesive set of colors, no matter what your color scheme is. Something about just mixing your own colors and having that same base of, one yellow, one red, one blue. It can help things just tie themselves together on their own without you having to do too much. You can see now I'm probably mixing together a bunch more colors. And I worked really hard. I wanted to get the hair to look super dark, but I don't like using black a lot necessarily. I don't want to rely on it too heavily in any given painting. You can see, I used some on the like eyeliner on all of the stylized eyes on the wings, and I used some on her actual eyelashes. But other than that, I try to use it very sparingly, only because it creates a really stark darkness that no other color can really match. And again, part of my goal in painting is to get everything to blend together and kind of cohere. So here, most of this painting actually is like variations of purple. Like, I know it looks red and blue, but I think most of it, except for this part that I'm painting right now, this bright red, most of it is either a really warm purple or a really cool purple, and then there's some blue in the hair. But even just getting a really like dark, cool purple can look super, super different from having a light, warm purple, as you can see. It looks like, they look like different colors. Like you would never say, oh, both of those are the same or they come from the same family, but they are, and they do. I don't know, I just think it's kind of cool. And then I also feel maybe, I don't know, maybe this shows my inexperience, the fact that I'm always using like a really, really thin brush, especially once I get to a certain point in my painting and I just want to add more and more detail. I feel like there are artists who can just sort of sweep a flat brush across and get it right where they want it to be and not worry about going over any lines or anything, but that's just that's just not me. I tend to want to be really precise because I get too nervous otherwise. But yeah, I hope, as I look at this, I realize that I think there's a little bit of a flashing effect, and I'm sorry for that, at a certain point in this painting process. It was over the course of several days, but I started watching TV, like next to where, there's a TV next to my desk, and I started watching TV, and I think that's what the flashing is from, either that or it's the trees that pass over the window that's above my desk. So I'm sorry for that. I'll try and do something about it next time. But hopefully it's not too distracting. You can see now I'm trying to add more details into her hair because the person in my reference photo, I'll link the reference photo down below, but I think she had like really, really tightly coiled or tight curls so that her hair looks super smooth, but there were still braids, like there was a braiding in her bantu knots that I wanted to make apparent in the painting because I thought it was really pretty. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that I gave her hair the requisite dimension because it wasn't all just like one color. It still had a lot of depth. And that part, getting the gold color for the necklace, that was really hard to do actually. I thought it would be easy, but like I said, I don't have a lot of hyper specific colors, so I had to mix just the right amount of like regular yellow, pastel yellow, and just like a touch, the lightest touch of red to get the like desaturated but dark gold that I wanted. Because it's different than pastel, but you still want it to not be just regular yellow. I don't know why I'm talking just so much about my coloring method in this video, but just watching it back over, those are my thoughts. This was really fun to do though, and I don't know, I'm never like fully satisfied with the way these things come out, but I'm pretty happy with it. Like, I'm happy with, I don't know, the fact that I had fun doing it, if that makes sense. And I feel incredibly lucky to have the time to do this sort of thing. If you've watched this far, thank you for taking the time to spend watching this video. You can also see my head in there every now and then as I'm leaning really close. And that's just because sometimes I feel like the details are so small that I just have to like put my face right up to where the paintbrush hits the paper just to make sure that I'm getting it in the exact right spot, because, I mean, gouache is pretty forgiving, but there are some things you just can't take back. Oh, here's the best part. Best part. The tape peel. Yes. If you liked this video, but you want to know more about the specific techniques I use, or my thought process behind the way that I painted this, you can check out my Patreon. I'll leave a link in the description. I'm uploading a longer version of this video there where I talk about how I paint, how I blend colors, how I choose colors, just in more detail, if that interests you. I also have a bunch of other goodies on my Patreon, comics and stuff. This will also be available as a print, so you can check out my store, LaineyWilliams.com, if you're interested in that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this goofy video I made, even with all my silliness in the voiceover. But yeah, I really enjoyed painting this, and I will see you soon for another video. Thanks, bye.